All right, let me give this thing a minute here. See if I can hear a bing of some sort. All right, this is Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thank everyone for joining in to this short, give me an hour anyway, a short commentary on Community Candid. Um, for those of you who don't know, I'm quite sure everyone knows there was a murder suicide in Sumter County a few days ago where disgruntled husband, I would assume, and don't quote me on that, came home and came to a house. He was divorced and he killed the person who was there. He murdered his own children, then he murdered himself and left his ex-wife alive. That was on the news last night. And then also on the news was someone who had been caught and found caught and arrested for drive-by shooting in Clarendon County, which killed one person and injured another. And also on the news last night, all of these people are black. And also on the news last night, there was a lady who was charged with the murder of her 8-month-old child. She was black. And also on the news last night in Columbia, a young man allegedly went to pick up his child or something in an apartment complex, and he was murdered some days ago. These things are becoming very, very prevalent in the South, in South Carolina, and very close to our communities, if not in our communities. So I am coming on with the three shadows, but this is not that. This is something that someone sent me a message and requested that I elaborate on a little bit, because I use biblical scripture talking about the tail end of the dragon and talking about how the South was not supposed to participate in the violence, the debauchery, the crookery, any of those things that were occurring in the North or in the cities around us, because of all of the trials that we had to go through in order to be able to enjoy some of the amenities of life without being targeted because of the color of our skin. We weren't supposed to participate in any of that stuff in the South. So those who stayed in the South, there were some who migrated north, some who migrated further south, but those who stayed here, we were in a special position to change the paradigm. As you all talk about that shifting of the paradigm, we were in a special position to make that paradigm shift a reality. But the thing about Satan is, the thing about devil is, once we get relaxed, see, in a time of peace, you prepare for war. But with us, when we feel good, when there is peace somewhere, we relax to the point where we end up joining into the issues that are causing trouble in our community. Most people with a cough will never go to the doctor. They'll say it's just a little cough. But that little cough could be a warning sign that you have lung cancer, that you have emphysema, throat cancer, COPD, warning signs that you have something wrong internally, that if you get it checked out early, you may be able to prevent a bigger problem. But we don't like preventing problems. We don't like addressing problems. We like to ignore the problem as long as the problem is not affecting us. God did not intend that for us, because silence is consent of the situation that is causing the death, the detriment, the mental illness, the drug addiction, all of those things that we refuse to speak about. There are actually some preachers who don't watch the news. And my thing is, if you are a person of God who's supposed to be speaking to the community and warning them of things to come, not just the good news, why aren't you watching the news? So I want to talk about this a little bit today, and then we're going to be done with it. We're going to go straight into the book of Revelations, but I want to go to Matthew 24 and 4 through 8 first, This is going to be a Bible talk. And I want to say this. A lot of you have issue with me. You don't know me, but you have issue with me because you join on to that mindset that because I'm on the internet talking, I think I'm better than someone. In 1989, during Hurricane Hugo, the incident was so traumatic to me. I was at Morris College at the time, and I was going through stuff with my girlfriend then at the time, going through stuff with family, and just in a very bad position in my life. We're going to get into it in a minute. I suffered a psychotic break in a sense that I got lost in my mind. Some of you get lost in your mind today. You run to drugs, to liquor, to whatever. But when I got lost in my mind, because my father was an alcoholic, I saw him beat on my mother, and I saw my mother addicted to cigarettes, and she would rather buy cigarettes than get her medication. I chose not to take that route to try to fix my mental illness. So I called on God a lot. And it seems like the more people I hung around, the more treacherous the people became. And it's still that way to this day. I don't trust people. I believe that the strongest person is the weakest person because we give in to weak desires and we give in to weak inclinations. Might be the same thing. So from 1989 to 2023, I've been fighting my own mind. Without the help of any medications of any kind, I rely on Almighty God and I stay away from people. And the reason I stay away from people is because God has shown me how weak and treacherous people are. But you need people in order to advance. So I choose friends carefully. I don't think that I'm better than anyone. I don't think that I'm smarter. I ask God to make me aware of my surroundings so that I could try to better my mental situation and myself. That's what I did. Most of you aren't strong enough to challenge yourself, your mind. You rather rely on something. I understand that. I wanted to put that out there because you all think, most of you think that I really think that I'm smarter or that my desire when I was at Morris College was to be a doctor of psychology, child psychology. I wanted to help children because of what I went through. I didn't get the doctorate degree. I still want it, but I have to get myself right here first, if ever. But because I can't handle the fast pace of school or the fast pace of society, I'm not going to stop learning. So I buy books. I go to the library. I stay learning. And the information that I gather, I share it. I choose to. It gives me a sense of worth. But I don't think I'm smarter or more intelligent. I battle like everyone else battles. I am not in a financial position where I would like to be. So I don't talk about money, but this isn't where I want to be. This is where I am. So I got to deal with where I am in the best way that I can. So on every level of life, we must learn to share what we have been given in hopes that God will be merciful on us. That's my stance. It will be my stance. I don't believe in letting people get over on me. I don't believe in people bullying me. I'd rather be dead. I don't believe in people talking about me and me not talking back about them. Eye for an eye. That's how I think. And I understand that some of you think that he ain't going to do nothing. But I'm not well up here when it comes to somebody bothering me. So I keep my distance from someone and people who think that they can actually play with me. Don't play with me. Okay? because I don't play with people. I value everybody and everything. Now let's get into the topic. The question was asked what I meant by the tail of the dragon. What I meant by the tail of the dragon is that something may be good in the beginning, like the crack era. In the beginning of the crack era, because the police didn't know what it was, people became overnight millionaires. But as crack became more prevalent and more recognizable and more detrimental, laws were put into place. So people who may have been successful at the beginning, those who joined in the middle, served long sentences for dealing with crack cocaine. Unfortunately, the internet chose to present Black people in particular in a violent light. I talked to a Hindu, an Indian, one of the ones that owns the stores, and they said, and it's one on the internet that said the same thing, that when they come to this country, even Africans, when they come to this country, they are told, don't trust American Black people. They're violent, and among other things, they're savages. So the tail end of the dragon, as mentioned in Revelations, that swept away, and I'm going to read it in a minute, we'll be done. A percentage of Black males, a percentage of the male population. We're going to talk about females, males, and how this is relevant to what I said last night on about the family that was murdered in something, all of the other crimes that I posted up, and all of the violent crimes that have occurred in Clarendon County, all of those that are solved and unsolved. Many of them will never be solved because our energy called these violent people from the north and deeper south. They're coming here now. Some people that just moved in our neighborhood from Florida. They're coming now. They're not coming for a better life. Most of them are coming because they've destroyed where they live. They didn't change their mentality, but they're going to come to your community and introduce your and my children to something that is so fascinating to them that they will give up their life to live the fantasy of someone else. Matthew 24, 4-8 of the King James Version of the Bible says, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, no man. For many shall come in my name, many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Wars, rumors of wars, people coming in the name of Christ, people saying they are Christ, people deceiving people. But it says here that the end is not yet. You are at the tail of the dragon. But the crimes that we see in our communities, this is not the end yet. It is going to get 10, 20, 30 times worse. Because those who see it turn the blind eye to. I don't care if it's your son, your daughter, your dog, your mama, your daddy. I don't care who it is. When you introduce crime that goes unchecked and crime becomes sin, then sin is an issue that must be taken up with God, not with the authorities. And the authorities are limited in what they're able to do. So then people are going to begin to solve their own issues with the gun and with violence. This is the point I'm making about the tail end of the dragon. These years that are promised that once the violence starts, you're talking about at least 1,000 of them, years. Not tomorrow. It's not going to end tomorrow. This is the beginning of sorrow. Matthew 24 and 48, I stopped and it said, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nations shall rise against nations, happening now, and kingdoms against kingdoms, happening now. And there shall be famines, happening now, and pestilence, happening now. and earthquakes in various places happening now. Listen, all of these are the beginning of sorrows. Now, it don't matter if you listen to me, don't listen to me, listen to your pastor, your preacher, the fellow on the corner, however it comes to you. Ignorance of the cough that I talked about, ignorance of getting it checked out is no excuse. Ignorance of having a lump in your breast and not getting it checked out and later dying of cancer, it's no excuse. It's a horrible thing, but we should have got it checked out. So the tail end of the dragon, it swings to the left. And the people on the right, it's like nothing bad is happening over there because the dragon's tail is at the left. Then the tail swings to the left, to the right, and the people on the left say, woo, everything is over with. But the dragon tail is swinging back and forth and destroying everything in its path as it goes along. But in the midst of that destruction, a few people benefit. And those who benefit, your preachers, your pastors, your politicians, your merchants, these people who take advantage and benefit from your ignorance and your pain, they will never try to save you because they're reaping benefit from your sorrow. So in Clarendon County, I'm telling you today, and I've said it before, I am engulfed now in the voter process. Because there's some people we got to move out of the way. I don't care if the new person is white, black, red, brown, or yellow. We need people that are going to shift the paradigm of the spiritual understanding of people. It's bigger than just the world. We're dealing with frequencies and energies that you don't just cut off because you are tired of it. So the dragon tail is swinging and it doesn't care who it affects. So now little children being shot by their parents, little boyfriends killing their girlfriend and then themselves. This is the beginning of sorrow, magnified 1,000 times. Go back and listen to what I read in Genesis, because we're going into Daniel right now. We're almost done. I think it was Daniel's 25, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to Daniel's 25 of the King James Version, New International Version of the Bible. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hands until a time and times and the dividing of times. Now I looked up that times and dividing of time. That's a 1,260 days and 42 months. That is 3.5 years and 42 months. There are 12 months in a year. See this thing here. Here I am calling myself trying to do math. Where in the world I get the 4, 5, 6, 2 and 3 is 36, 12 more, 4, 6, 7, 8, 3. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3. That is 3.5, 4, 5, 6.5. We're talking about roughly 7 years of violence. 7 years of unheard of violence. I talked to you from God about the Jubilee. I talked to you about the sign of the 7. And now we're talking about the tail of the dragon. The end of suffering, the 7 again, and the what's coming ahead of us that we, because we're not aware. Having knowledge and being aware are two different things. I pray to God for awareness, because having knowledge is not the same as being aware of what's occurring around you and what to do about it. So when I see things that are relevant to what's happening, I always use them and I always go to biblical text about them. So now I'm going to go into this very quickly. I'm just giving you surface talk. And you can go and look into this yourself. Again, this is not The shadow people, I'll be doing that once God gives me the clarity on it, because I'm still asking questions. I'm going to speak with a mathematician, a Caucasian retired mathematician. I called him earlier, and I'm going to see him in an hour or so and talk to him about the three shadows and the three. And I'm getting proper understanding from the elders. This is a white guy who was with me when I had heart surgery. He cooked for me. He brought his golf cart over to my house so that I could drive it through the neighborhood because of my depression. And I couldn't walk, but I could get on that thing and ride with my son. He did that for me and for us. He cooked for my family. White guy. So they all, let's get into this and then we're going to close. The woman and the dragon. This is in the book of Revelations. Revelations 12. 1 through 11, 1 through 13. Then we're going to be finished. I'm going to break a few things down. Then we're going to be finished. But I want you all to understand. Please go back to the beginning of this. A person who thinks they know God doesn't know God. There's no way you can think you know the magnificence of God. You travel that road all of your life trying to find that. I don't think I'm some brainiac. I travel trying to find knowledge that I can share. I'm not in a financial position that I would like to be in. I'm not in an educational position that I had strived so hard. I didn't complete it. I got certificates, but I didn't get the doctorate because I had a mental break in my brain. And I got, what do you call the word? Anxiety so bad that I had to drop away from society, period. But I didn't drop away from studying because God had given me that gift of wanting to know, awareness. Now let's close. I have to say these things. And many of you don't know that I was homeless for 6 months in Clarendon County. I slept out at the ballpark in the old bathroom in the dugouts. I was so skinny and hair all over my face, just like you see a homeless. I used to hide in the woods. I didn't want nobody to see me. I have been through a lot. So I'm not going to let any of you take that away from me by saying he think he's so smart. He think he. You don't know what I think because you don't conversate with me. You conversate with people who have a problem with me. I strive to be the very best that I can be for God, for the mercy that he has shown me. That's what I do. Let's finish. The woman and the dragon. Y'all don't know me. Y'all really don't. And you don't want to know me. You want to believe what you want to believe. And that's not okay with me. That's not okay. But I thank all of you for the statistics that I've seen on Facebook and YouTube, how Clarendon County is supporting the broadcast. I thank all of you for that. I appreciate you. I need you to advance in what I'm trying to do. God gave me many gifts, but I suffer from issues that I don't take drugs for. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't drink liquor. I don't take ADHD drugs. I deal with it by conversating with myself, meditation and talking and walking and staying away from trouble. Only way you're going to see how evil I can be is if you bring the trouble to me. And then you're going to say that I'm this horrible person, but I'm not. You're bothering me. Don't bother me or my family. Because this is not a game. Life is not a game to me. Let's finish. The woman and the dragon. I was talking about we were in the turmoil of the tail end of the dragon. Go back and listen to the beginning. And someone asked me to elaborate on that. So I want to finish with this, and I hope you understand this very well. Some of the symbolism in here, I'll go into it at another time. But most pastors and ministers are afraid of the book of Daniel. They are afraid of the book of Revelations. So many are even afraid of the book of Genesis because of all the murder and betrayal in it. So they stay in Proverbs and, lightweight stuff. But somebody has to do this too. Let's go. A great as the pastors say, turn in your Bibles to Revelations 12. The woman and the dragon. A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. Now, for many of you who study 5% Nation of Gods in the Earth, who study the Hebrew text, who study Christianity in depth, you understand that the woman is the moon. And you understand that the children are the stars and that the sun is the man. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. I actually have an image of that in the other room. Listen to this. This is why I said what I said. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Now, I said to all of the women who are pregnant, I said this in the Jubilee commentary and also in the sign of the seven, that if you are pregnant with a child, you shouldn't be around sorrow. You shouldn't be watching scary movies. You shouldn't be watching anything that makes you feel bad. Watch what you eat. Don't be around marijuana, alcohol, people, loud music, any of that with the baby in your womb, because that's going to affect the vibratory frequency of the blood in your body and the blood that is flowing to the child and cause brain damage before the child is born. All right. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. We are 26 minutes in. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. All have meaning. 7. 7 everything. Everything 7. If you're standing on the square, if you're standing on the 7, the same 7 that is the 7 days of the week, the same 7 that is the 7 of the nations of the gods in the earth and the 5% nation and the nation of Islam and many other religious sects, you understand the power of the 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The G is the God. The 7 is the God. 7 is very important. On the 7th day, God rested. We're in the 6th day. We're in the time of trouble and struggle and turmoil. We can't rest because we're not in the frequency of God, but we're supposed to be. But what interrupted that frequency and what was supposed to be in the South is that you all fell in love with the North and the violence of the North and the violence of the South, New Orleans and Louisiana and Florida. And you allowed that to come here. This wasn't supposed to happen here. Dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. 1/3 of the children out of heaven, gone. 1/3 of our children who had done nothing, who didn't deserve it, gone, because we allowed that serpent in Genesis to keep on building its evil until in the book of Revelations, it became a dragon. We allowed that cough to become lung cancer. We don't like to attack things when we're supposed to. We don't understand asymmetrical warfare. We don't understand the art of war at all. You can't let certain things come in because they will never leave. I posted up about Pandora's box and how we opened it. And all of the evils came out, but it said also in the bottom of the box was hope. So all we got now is hope and faith that God will give us another opportunity to correct our mistakes. You can't teach the people joy without teaching them the opposite of joy. Then another sign appeared in the heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. You hear me? This world is after black males. Kill all boy babies, spare the female. But listen to what the book of Revelation said to all of these empowered females who think they were spared for a good reason. You were not spared for a good reason. You were spared to turn against your own man and destroy him along with Satan. And then after Satan destroys your man, he's going to destroy you. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth to so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. Same thing happened to Moses. Pharaoh sent summoners into the city, said, kill all boy babies, spare the female. 5, she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all of the nations with an iron scepter. A male child given birth by a mother with God, who was going to rule the world with rules and laws, but the world wants anarchy. The world wants to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. You understand me? So we have, you don't want to listen to this. I understand. You don't have to. It's going to happen anyway. You ain't got to listen to nothing. You ain't got to agree with nothing. You ain't got to promote nothing. It's going to happen anyway. But we need each other in this time because things got to change. Doing what you want to do is not freedom. Doing what you want to do is anarchy. When a child does what they want to do in a house, they cause anarchy in the home. Same thing in the community, even in our own minds, we cause anarchy. She gave birth to a son, a male child who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, and her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days, 3.5 years. 3.5 years. That's what we got. 3.5 years. Then war broke out in heaven. You know, all the people saying they want to go to heaven. War broke out there. Why would war break out in heaven? Why would war break out in our minds? That's our heaven. And that's why I told you in the beginning that I was at war in my own mind. Many of our children at war in their own minds, but they're taking mind-altering drugs to fix a problem that must be addressed by the individual before. I'm not saying you won't have to take medication. I'm saying understand why you're taking the medication. I'm not saying you may not have to smoke marijuana. I don't want it around me because I have lung issues and it will kill me. I'm not saying you won't have to smoke it. I'm saying understand why you have to smoke it. Be aware of it. I hope this is making sense. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. How many of you all are fighting against the dragon? They had a cartoon out called How to Tame Your Dragon. When you tame your dragon, you're taming the wild side of yourself. When you tame your dragon, you're taming your evil inclinations. When you tame your dragon, you're taming selfish desires and ego, and understanding them and recognizing them and being aware of them when they come up. And if it's something that frightens you and you know you must face it, you begin to convince yourself, I must face this. But most people stay in the comfort zone of trials in our mind. We don't go where we need to go. We stay where it's comfortable. So you got a church full of people who don't smoke, don't drink, don't fornicate. And so they They accuse everybody else in the world that do those things of being evil, but they're not evil. You're going to be surprised if God came back today, who he would take and who he would leave. Book says that two men will be laying beside each other, one go, one stay. Two will be at the mill grinding, one go, one stay. It didn't say which one. It didn't describe their mental state or their desire or what they were doing in their life. One goes, one stays. You'll be surprised who God will choose. And the dragon and his angels fought back. They fought back, but he was not strong enough. And they lost their place in heaven. They lost the fight. You can run any crime out of your community if you fight back. You can fight back in your home and win your home back with God's permission. But there must be a conscious, aware effort to do it. Why does my child act that way? Did I act that way? I did act that way. Why did I act that way? How can I address it? How can I have a conversation? I'm not a very good conversationalist. I don't know how to talk or what to say. I get angry. I get emotional. I don't want to hear my child telling me that they are gay or they masturbate or they're on drugs. How do I deal with it? The community deals with it. The community does. You may not be able to listen to your child, but I can. I might not be able to listen to my child, but you can. This is how we slay the dragon. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled, listen to what I'm saying, hurled down. That ancient serpent, the ancient serpent is that same serpent from the book of Genesis that just was a serpent. Now he's a dragon. That ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. So now it's very clear Satan is on earth. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, listen, and I'm done. Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah, for the accuser of our brothers and sisters who accuse them before our God day and night has been hurled down. The accuser. There are people who accuse others of doing something they didn't do. They're devils. They're serpents. Get thee behind me, Satan, is what Jesus said. So if you're accusing me of something I didn't do, if you're running around the neighborhood on Sugar Hill, and many of you are talking about me and my family and what we do, and you don't have no clue what's going on in here. You really don't. But your job is to make us look bad and get people on your side so you can do the evil that you want to do without anybody fighting you. Because nobody's fighting anymore for good. God made me a fighter for good. I got to. He saved my life. He can take it anytime he wants. It could be from a bullet or from natural causes. But man, I got to do this. I love it. And I hate it at the same time, because you're going to be alone when you try to do right. Somebody going to always find a problem with family members because you ain't doing right the way they say you should do right. Because the way they did right worked for them, they think it'll work for you, but it ain't going to work for you. But they think it will. And since you look like you're successful, they're sitting there waiting for you to, told you that's that religion. That's that craziness. People are something else, man. Myself included. But if this world does not drive you insane, then you're not aware. You're not awakened. And now the white elite want to fight against being woke. That's what the whole, what do they call it? I've forgotten the name of it. Critical race theory. That's what the fight is all about. They can't wake up. The nerve of them to be aware of what's really happening. That means that we will be hurled out of heaven. Not all people think that way. 80% of people know that we can live together in a society with black, white, brown, yellow, all. with no problem until God comes back and judge. We could live together. 85% of the people know that. 80% of the people know that. 85%. 11. Yeah. At the end of 10, who accused them before our God day and night has been hurled down. Satan is down here with us. They triumph over him by the blood of the Lamb. They triumph over him by remembering the sacrifices of Christ. For those of you who don't know, we are in Ramadan, which means we don't eat from sunup to sundown. Because of my health issues, I hang on until at least 4 o'clock, but my throat is so dry right now. And I have to keep on going. And my sugar level is dropped. I feel it, but it's 3:15. God willing, we're going to hang in there. Who accused them before our God day and night has been hurled down. Since I had heart surgery, I have diabetes all of a sudden. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. The saints don't love their life so much that they would shrink from death. Death don't mean just physical death, but they ain't gonna shrink from loss of money or home or family or diminution of fruit. We gonna fight and keep on fighting and pray that God's mercy continue to protect us. We're in the tail of the dragon. When it swings to the left is in pain, but the right think everything is all right. When it swings to the right is in pain, but the left think everything is all right. When you are in a time of peace, you're supposed to prepare for war. In our times of peace, we make more war. The South was becoming peaceful, and we accepted the crime and violence from the North and further South, and we made ops. Y'all made ops. Y'all didn't have to go through what y'all chose to go through, and now we're in a situation where the cycle has to complete itself, and there is no definitive date when death will stop. We should have never allowed it. That's what I'm talking about. Now, innocent children are dying because the dragon tail is swinging and taking out everybody. No, I don't care if you're innocent or not. You're dying because we opened the box. Now, the 60 and 70-year-old parents don't want to take no responsibility. They're out there trying to party with their children, trying to be down because they failed and don't want to stand up and say, we got to do better. They want to be the young. They out there doing that. You're going to pay for that. You're going to see all of your children die right in front of your face because you're supposed to be teaching them better. Instead, you're partying and having a good time with them. You're going to pay for that. Not because I said it, because God said it. We almost done. 12. Therefore rejoice Therefore rejoice, you heavens and you who dwell in them. So there are heavens. There, like I said, there are pockets of peace. And people in Clarendon County are trying to build those pockets of peace. Meanwhile, some of them are serving up the violence to you because they have bought homes in ghettos, bought homes in places where they don't care who move in or what they do, as long as they get to go back to their heaven. We got to check those people. We got to check them. We got to put them in the same light as they put us. We got to call the police on them. We got to report them, your mayors, your mayor pro tems, your senators, your preachers, all of them. Nobody gets a pass. Until everybody respects everybody, nobody gets a pass. That's what God is saying. I'm telling you. And if we don't handle it that way, then we're going to sit and watch our children die, and they won't speak out against it. Are you hearing any pastors talking about the murders that are going on? Are you hearing your mayors and your senators and preachers or business people trying to do something to help the community about all the violence and crimes going on? Talk to me. Okay, then. That's where we are. Until everybody sees everybody as something of importance as God sees us. Each person is important, but many will have to die because of the things that we don't address that other people are doing. You ain't seen violence yet. But when a person who ain't never had nothing get a taste of the good life, they become an animal, man. We're closing. 13, the last one. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. Now the dragon is on earth, running after our women. And our women are saying women empowerment, women this, which is great. I don't think women should be, I think women should be applauded. All women. I think they should be respected for their power of mind. They are the second self of God. I think they should be protected. I think they should be respected. Rather, they're gay or straight. Women should be respected and protected. I believe that in my heart. But some of you are being poisoned by your titles and your positions. And you're willing to take off the sun in order to show your moon. But the moon borrows light from the sun. This is scientific fact. The moon is a dead planet. It borrows light from the sun. The man is the sun. If the man is not shining, the woman won't shine. I don't care how tough a woman acts. She can get as butchy and tough and as she wants to get. She can grow a beard, a mustache, put on a fake penis, sag her britches. She does not harness the power of the sun as a male does. All right. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the two wings of a great eagle. See how y'all flying now? God gave y'all wings to fly so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness. This is where we are. We're in the wilderness, where she would take care of, would be taken care of for a time, times and a half of time. That's again is 7 years total, 1,260 days and 42 months. We round that off to about 7 years. 7 years. I'm closing. Then from his mouth, the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening his mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. This is why you all are being empowered. The earth is on your side. They call it Mother Earth. The earth is on your side. There is life here. But check this out. Then the dragon was enraged. So it ain't over yet. After the earth saved the woman, the dragon got more enraged. And then the dragon was enraged at the woman. Now I told you they wanted the males first, kill all the boy babies. In the beginning of this, Revelations 12 talks about the dragon waiting at the womb of the woman to destroy the male, him. I'm closing. Then the dragon was enraged and the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring. Those who kept God's commandments and hold fast their testaments about Jesus Christ. The dragon is whipping his tail. He is making war with the rest of your offspring. None of our children are safe now. And until we stand up, because 85% of the people don't have a clue of what's going on. They just really believe all you do is live, go to work, have a party, drink liquor, smoke weed, and do it again next week. They have no connection. Have babies, eager to have children, and introduce the child into the same cycle of nothing. We are supposed to wear out. We're not supposed to sit and rust. But people are rusting away in old folks' homes and wheelchairs, dying early. But we're not wearing out doing the job that we're supposed to be doing in protecting the future of our children. There are very few warriors out there, and they're not the ones killing everybody. They're not the ones with all the muscles in their shirt. Those aren't warriors. They don't know what war is. We war not against flesh and blood. It's what I'm going to find that, and then we're going to close. Give me a minute to find that scripture, and then we're going. About that. I'm sorry about that. Facebook. I hit the enter button trying to find some information, and I blew it. And I'm sorry. Just give me a minute to try to search this out. I went off the air for a minute. We war not against flesh and blood. Let me try to find it. I hit the wrong button. That's why I always advertise for help, because I get overwhelmed with doing so many things. There it is. Ephesians 6:12, and we're closing. Says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So we in a battle of our life, man, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I thank you all for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir. We're 51 minutes in. As promised, I would get it done by God's permission, and I'm going to stop right there. Please be on the lookout for the advertisement for the shadow people. I got to do that one because everyone is assigned these devils, and most of us are giving in to them as opposed to fighting them. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina.
Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains, I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.